Cuba is a place where classic cars, vibrant music, and rich history blend into a unique experience. Did you know there's a town where every resident has a nickname? Or that Cuba's literacy rate is one of the highest in the world? It's a country full of surprises, from the world's smallest bird to its famous cigars, all woven into the fabric of daily life. Let's dive into the fascinating world of Cuba and uncover some of its most surprising facts. Number 1. More classic cars than anywhere else. Cuba is distinctive for not following the trend of releasing new car models annually in a world where it is common. In this area, the streets resemble a moving time machine, filled with vintage cars ranging from the 1930s to the 1950s. These items are not just for display in museums, they are integrated into daily life in Cuba. These almond-shaped cars, also called almendrones in the area, serve a practical purpose and are not just for display. They have a vital function in Cuba's public transportation network, frequently acting as collective taxi services. Picture yourself flagging down a ride in a meticulously preserved 1950s Cadillac. That's an everyday occurrence in Havana. Nowhere else in the world will you see vintage cars like these. Not only will you find American brands here, you can also see cars from the ex-socialist countries, such as the robust Ladas. The distinctive car culture in Cuba developed as a consequence of historical events. Following the Cuban Revolution and the imposition of the US embargo, acquiring new cars was extremely difficult. Cubans had to demonstrate ingenuity in order to keep these classic cars running, using any available or homemade parts for maintenance and preservation. The outcome is an impressive assortment of functioning vintage cars, turning Cuba into a living exhibition of automotive history. It's more than just transportation, it showcases Cuban creativity and strength. Number 2. Cubans are obsessed with dominoes. Cubans have a strong passion for playing dominoes. The sound of domino tiles clinking can often be heard during Cuban weekends. This cherished game is deeply cherished by the community on the island, leading to neighbors frequently setting up impromptu outdoor domino parlors on the streets. In these friendly competitions, the stakes can become entertainingly high as players compete fiercely for bragging rights. However, this fixation involves more than just amusement and recreation. The Havana's famous Cristobal Colón necropolis is home to a symbol of a fateful game of dominoes. Juana Martín de Martín lies here, her tombstone adorned with a pair of number 3 tiles. According to the legend, Juana was on the verge of winning when her competitor stole the victory. She was overwhelmed with feelings as she found her equal in multiple aspects. Currently, the pair of 3 signifies where she lies in peace, a light-hearted tribute to a successful match. This story highlights the profound cultural importance of dominoes in Cuba. It goes beyond just a hobby. It's a lifestyle, a custom handed down over many years. The game unites individuals, promotes social bonds, and can be found in surprising locations, such as a graveyard. Number 3. No McDonald's or Starbucks here. Have you ever pictured a location without McDonald's or Starbucks? Cuba is really an intriguing destination. In a global landscape dominated by McDonald's golden arches and Starbucks green mermaid logos, Cuba is a unique standout with its absence of these iconic brands. In Cuba, there are no McDonald's, Starbucks, or KFC restaurants. However, rest assured, this enhances the island's culinary scene to be more distinctive and thrilling. Cuba provides a genuine and diverse culinary experience, as opposed to the typical international chains. If you want coffee, don't think about going to Starbucks. Instead of that, you can savor a mug of Cuban coffee that is locally grown, flavorful, rich, and strong. It is a unique experience that cannot be found in any franchise coffee store. If you're craving a burger, you can't go wrong with McDonald's. Cuba has its own variation known as the frita, a tasty Cuban-style burger garnished with crunchy shoestring potatoes. This is something you have to experience. While Cuba may lack popular fast food restaurants, it provides a unique opportunity to immerse oneself in its distinct culture and tastes. Number 4. Cuba has more than 4,000 islands. Were you aware that Cuba has more than 4,000 islands? Yes, you heard correctly. Although many individuals perceive Cuba as a singular large island, it is in reality a collection of 4,195 islands and cays, each possessing its own distinct appeal. Cuba's primary island is encircled by many smaller islands, creating stunning archipelagos. Traveling south will lead you to the breathtaking Jardins de la Reina, also known as the Gardens of the Queen. This group of islands is a magnificent natural wonder, renowned for its transparent waters, colorful coral reefs, and plentiful marine animals. This is a diver's ultimate fantasy. Close by is the Canarreos archipelago, yet another lovely group of islands. These islands are famous for their unspoiled beaches and abundant plant life. Cayo Largo, a highly sought-after island in this collection, provides a picturesque retreat with its pristine sandy shores and blue-green waters. It is an ideal location for a peaceful retreat. Next, we will travel in a northerly direction to the Sabana Camagüey archipelago. The extensive group of approximately 2,517 cays and islands can be found along Cuba's northern coastline. Seeing it is truly amazing. Cayo Coco is one of the well-known islands in this area, known for its upscale resorts and lively biodiversity. How about some flamingos? Cayo Coco is simply one instance of the variety and splendor of islands in this archipelago. Cuba's islands offer something for everyone, whether you seek adventure, relaxation, or a slice of paradise. Number 5. Christmas was banned for 30 years. In 1959, when Fidel Castro's communist regime came into power in Cuba, one major change they implemented was announcing the nation as an atheist state. This indicated that religious holidays, such as Christmas, were regarded with doubt. However, it wasn't until 1969 that Castro officially eliminated Christmas as a recognized paid day off. What is the reason, you inquire? It was thought that the celebrations affected the sugar production in Cuba, which was an important economic priority. Picture this. For a span of 30 years, starting in 1969 and ending in 1997, Cuba did not officially acknowledge Christmas. It was a period referred to by locals as Las Navidades Silenciadas, or the Silent Christmases. In this time frame, December 25th was identical to a regular day with no decorations, festive spirit, or time off. It was a sharp difference from the lively festivities that many of us are used to globally. In the year 1997, something extraordinary occurred. Pope John Paul II made a historic trip to Cuba, becoming the first pope to visit the country. His arrival led to a shift, which involved restoring Christmas as a public holiday. This significant occurrence marked the end of the 30-year prohibition of Christmas in Cuba, enabling individuals to openly commemorate this beloved holiday once more. Even though Christmas has been officially acknowledged, it is crucial to remember that in Cuba, it is still a typical workday. The effects of those quiet years continue to influence how Christmas is celebrated in the nation today. Number 6. Cuba has one of the highest literacy rates in the world. Were you aware that the literacy rate in Cuba is an incredible 99.8%? This island country in the Caribbean has made impressive progress in education, particularly after the Cuban Revolution of 1959. Following the revolution, the Cuban Literacy Campaign was initiated by Fidel Castro's government. What is their objective? To eradicate illiteracy nationwide and make education accessible to everyone, especially those from marginalized groups. Between January and December in 1961, numerous young Cubans, including some who were only 16 years old, offered to journey to rural regions. What is their objective? To provide literacy instruction to individuals of all ages who have not previously been able to receive formal education. Education was made compulsory for children between the ages of 6 and 15, and private educational institutions were taken over by the government to guarantee equal opportunities to education. In the present day, Cuba still prioritizes education as a fundamental aspect of its society, focusing heavily on literacy and academic success. Number 7. Fidel Castro survived 600 assassination attempts. Were you aware that Fidel Castro, the legendary ruler of Cuba, managed to survive more than 600 assassination attempts throughout his reign? Yes, that's correct. Picture yourself avoiding more assassination attempts than the average action movie protagonist. Castro started his journey in 1959 by leading the Cuban Revolution, overthrowing the oppressive regime of Fulgencio Batista, who had support from the United States. This revolution turned Cuba into a socialist nation, signifying a major change in its historical course. During almost 50 years in control, Castro encountered non-stop dangers to his life. The CIA and other organizations made more than 600 attempts to kill him, using methods such as exploding cigars and poison in scuba diving suits. It's an impressive figure that highlights the severity of Cold War politics and Castro's perseverance. In spite of these continual risks, Castro not only remained alive, but also held onto his power in Cuban politics until resigning in 2008. His legacy continues to be divisive, representing both opposition to American control and a nuanced period in Cuban history. Number 8. The Cuban crisis almost led to nuclear war. In October 1962, the peak of the Cold War, the United States finds out a shocking truth. Soviet missiles positioned only 90 miles away on its shores, specifically in Cuba. This finding triggered warning signals in Washington, initiating the event we now refer to as the Cuban Missile Crisis. President John F. Kennedy acted quickly by implementing a naval blockade around Cuba to stop more Soviet deliveries and to insist on the removal of those nuclear weapons. The world anxiously waited as tensions between the two superpowers reached new heights. At the same time in Moscow, Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev encountered his own difficulty. How can we end this standoff without escalating it into a global nuclear disaster? Both leaders carefully strategized, considering the risks of their upcoming decisions. 13 days of fervent discussions ensued, with the world on the edge of a potential nuclear conflict. At last, there was a major development. Khrushchev agreed to withdraw the missiles from Cuba, on the condition that Kennedy promised to dismantle American missiles in Turkey. This crucial deal, achieved with strong diplomatic efforts, reduced the crisis and relieved worldwide tensions. It was a crucial moment that demonstrated the importance of bargaining and the danger of nuclear standoff. The Cuban Missile Crisis is a clear example of how peace is delicate in times of worldwide tension. It highlighted the significance of diplomacy and the necessity to pursue peaceful resolutions to global conflicts. Number 9. Cuban cigars are known all over the world. Were you aware that Cuban cigars are known globally for their unmatched quality and skillful artistry? It's more than just smoke. It holds a piece of Cuban history that goes back centuries. Many years in the past, the Taino people of Cuba started growing tobacco, which formed the base for a worldwide symbol. Fast forward to the present day, and Cuban cigars are closely associated with luxury and heritage. What sets them apart? The story begins with the fertile soils of the Vuelta Abajo area in Pinar del Rio. The ideal climate and soil blend produces tobacco leaves with exceptional flavor and texture. Every cigar is a work of art, made by talented torcedores, also known as cigar rollers, who carefully hand-roll each cigar. Premium filler, binder, and wrapper leaves from the finest tobacco plants are blended together to guarantee a rich and complex experience with every puff. Were you aware that crafting a single cigar by rolling can require hours, demonstrating the commitment and skill invested in each one? Therefore, when you smoke a Cuban cigar in the future, keep in mind that you are not only inhaling smoke, but also appreciating a part of Cuban tradition made with skill and dedication. Number 10. Cuba had two currencies. During the 1990s, following the downfall of the Soviet Union, Cuba encountered economic difficulties. In order to stabilize its economy, Cuba implemented the Cuban convertible peso, known as CUC, which is tied to the value of the US dollar. This form of currency was predominantly utilized for tourist transactions, imported products, and specific services. In addition to the CUC, Cuba also operates with the standard Cuban peso, CUP. In contrast to the CUC, which is pegged to the dollar, the Cuban peso has a variable exchange rate and is utilized for domestic purchases. Therefore, what is the reason for having two currencies? The dual currency system aids in the management of various sectors in Cuba's economy. Tourists and some businesses use CUC, while locals mainly use CUP for their everyday purchases. However, there is a twist. Tourists are subject to an official exchange rate, while locals have access to an unofficial one, influencing how Cubans handle their money. It is interesting that some stores in Cuba are also accepting US dollars, in addition to the CUC, which further complicates the monetary situation. The dual currency system in Cuba has come to an end. Comprehending the circulation of money in Cuba enhances the depth of your adventure, from charming streets to vibrant markets. If you found the information on Cuba's unique currency interesting, please remember to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell for more informative videos. Keep your curiosity until we meet again.